a number of non-profit organizations face possible closure due to funding problems by the Gauteng Social Development Department. The NPOs have threatened to protest over the matter. Let's speak to the Gauteng Social Development MEC Mbali Hlophe. MEC, good evening to you and thank you for your time. Is there a crisis when it comes to the funding of NPOs in Gauteng?
Good evening, Pauline, and hello to all your listeners, and thanks for having us. As you know, that for the past 2 days, from Monday, the Premier had meetings where we're facilitating between ourselves, the Department of Finance, together with the Premier's office, just to engage with the NPOs, but also indicate and give some context to some of the delays that some of them have experienced, but also to indicate what is the progress and what is the way forward. So that's roughly what the engagements have been centered around, but also giving a surety that in terms of those who are vulnerable, this government continues to care for them. And we are working around the clock to make sure that the NPOs that still require their SLAs or payments, all of that is concluded in line with the deadline that's been given of the 24th.
Yeah. How many NPOs are we talking about here, MEC?
So as you know, that what we've communicated is that we've had over 1,700 NPOs that have applied, coming to a tally of 11.4 billion, and the department's own budget is at 5.5 billion. So you can immediately see that in terms of the financial wishes that a number of the NPOs have, the budget we have will simply not be able to cover that. But what we have indicated is that in terms of the NPOs that have accordingly been evaluated and adjudicated and their proposals have been accepted, we are fast tracking to make sure that this is finalized on. As you all know, that we are working around the clock, and the Department of Finance is also assisting because they've enabled that the department can now be able, instead of doing payments on a weekly basis, can be able to pay on a daily basis. So the amounts are very fluid right now because, as you understand, that this is daily work that is taking place and the numbers change hourly.
Yeah. MEC, you'll differentiate here because you know the space better. There are NPOs and then there are cooperatives. And there is a particular, or there are particular cooperatives that were contracted directly by your department, Social Development. In fact, on the 8th of May this year, the Democratic Alliance even put out a statement on behalf of these cooperatives saying that these contractors were hired by your department to provide new school uniforms. And now they are left stranded because you have not paid for the services that they rendered. What do you know about that?
Well, I think it would be interesting for the DA to indicate where they get the confidence to speak with such bravery on matters that are clearly very vague in terms of what they're discussing, because it doesn't appear that they have an appreciation of what is really transpiring. Let me give you a background. The department has a tender in place, and this is in line with Treasury regulations. And out of that tender of school uniform, 97 companies were approved. Now, in addition to that, we had a subsequent parallel process that took place where unidentified, currently officials within the department, gave work to subcontractors to go and do. And these are the individuals now who are saying, we've done work and we want to be paid. And our question has been simple, and we've been having these continuous engagements with the individuals. Who subcontracted you? Because the moment you say you're a subcontractor, it means you are tied to a main contractor. Now, the main contractors on the other end who we've met with say to us that the officials gave us contractors and said to us that these are going to be forced onto us and these are people we must work with. To the extent that the main contractors, those who have gone through a proper competitive process, are indicating we are not going to take responsibility for people that we did not identify. And you must understand that for any main contractor, when you take on a subcontractor, this isn't an individual that you must be able to assert yourself that in terms of the quality of work that they do, these are someone that you can work with. You then have a contract with them, you discuss how you're going to pay them and so forth, because that is why they are a subcontractor. Their contract is linked to the main contractor.
Yeah.
But what has then happened within the department, and this is why we have been engaging with these subcontractors, because we want them to help us identify who are the individuals in the department who have done this so that we are able to take them to book. Because in the absence of that, how do we take out millions of government funds to individuals that the department has no contractual basis with? And this is where we are. And that's why we've said to them, can they kindly come forward, do the affidavit so that we're able to deal with the matter? We've discussed with Treasury, it's already going to be an irregularity, but we at least need to show that in terms of getting people to book and identifying where the wrongdoing is taking place and identifying those officials that have done this, we're able to account in that regard. So it is a process we're embarking on and is stipulated. It's truly unfortunate that at the heart of this, some of them are just pure innocent women, those who've been able to come forward and indicate to us who has said they must do what. And there are others who are simply concealing who the individuals are. But the matter is ongoing, and we do seek to get to the finality of it. And I guess it brings to heart what we've been saying, that there's a huge cleanup that is taking place in the department. And this administration remains confident that we will be able to make sure that this department is able to function at its optimum in line with good governance.
Yeah, you speak about a huge cleanup, MEC, and this, of course, speaks to the unidentified officials within your department that you say would have been the ones promising work to these cooperatives. These contracts, we understand that they were issued in December of 2023. By now, surely you would have gone some distance in identifying at least the culprits within your department that you need to deal with. We are now sitting almost halfway through 2024.
And that's why I indicate that these contracts that you're speaking about, as early as December, when the department had meetings and we've been discussing this matter, we long indicated that when a tender is in place and 97 individuals have been identified that need to do the work, those are the people that must do the work. But the subcontractors, for whatever reason, continue to do work as identified by these officials that we indicate. We've simply said to the contractors, to these subcontractors, come forward and give us the information. Because you must understand that in the absence of information, how does our department pay individuals that we can't account for, where there's no competitive process that has taken place? How do we possibly release millions of rands to individuals and say we're paying them for work? We need to be able to have that paper trail and identify the individuals that have done this work so that we're able to bring the matter to finality. And as I've indicated, we've had lengthy discussions, not just with the Premier, but also with the MEC for Finance on this particular matter. Yeah. And what are the steps that we need to take? Because immediately it's going to be an irregular expenditure, but we need to know who are these individuals who continue to muddy this department and make sure that it continues to be overshadowed by such issues of corruption and so forth unnecessarily.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, 97 companies are involved here, and the assumption is that those are the main contractors, not the subcontractors. How much, what was the value of this contract, and have they been paid, these 97 cooperatives?
So let's distinguish between the cooperatives and the main contractors. So in terms of the work that the main contractors have done, they have been paid for that. Where the issues that we're having is around those who are deemed to be subcontractors. And as I indicate, if a subcontractor comes with the main contractor, that work would have been given. It's similarly to you, if I have to simplify it, if you do work and you build houses, you're going to be paid for the totality of those houses, but you know that you would have subcontracted windows, doors, and so forth and so forth. Whatever you are given, you then will divide and pay off those you have brought into subcontract. But that's not where the issue is, because the main contractors are saying, we are not going to pay individuals we do not know who are forced onto us. And that's where the crux of the issue is, because right now the department has a contractual relationship with the main contractors and not with the subcontractors. And this is what we are trying to resolve so that we can identify the individuals within the department who misused the name of the department to go allocate work to individuals in dark corners and identify them and tell them to do work. And then the department is expected to pay, which is not in line with how government functions.
What was the value of this contract, MEC?
The value of the contract for school uniform is over 100 million.
100
and as I'm
million.
indicating, because we don't know the subcontractors and the value of the work that they're saying they have done, that is the information that we're compiling currently to make sure and ascertain that which they say they have done and the value thereof, we can be able to quantify so that we know what becomes this irregularity that the department is likely to deal with.
But that 100 million rand has been paid out to the main contractors?
No, the value of the totality of the contract, right? So I'm indicating that in terms of these subcontractors, that is what we need to deal with. But the main contractors, for the work that they have done, that has been finalized upon. But what is coming out is that there are also subcontractors who did work, and that is what we are dealing with.
Are you aware of sit-ins that are being organized in order to stage sit-ins at your department? Does that concern you?
We absolutely are aware. And that is why even yesterday we met with the individuals. And this is not the first time the department engages with them. In fact, the HOD, both the previous and the current HOD, have been having regular engagements with the individuals as far back as January. So regular meetings have been taking place, but as we indicate, we can only plead to individuals to give us information. You can't force information out of people. If they don't want to come forward, I'm not quite sure what more is expected of the department. And if people want to, instead of giving us information so the matters are resolved, and opt to sit in, to the extent that it was even written, stop asking questions, just pay us. We can't do that. Government does not work in that manner. So we want to get to the bottom of this. The department, through its former and current HOD, has been engaging the individuals, and we really are thankful to those who are cooperating and making sure that we're able to bring the matter to finality.
All right. For now, we are going to have to leave the conversation there. MEC Mbali Hlophe, I'm hoping that at some point you are going to join us in studio, because clearly this is not going away anytime soon.